What is going on, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome to the Fins Up Network. It's Ben Morgan. And you still on that high from yesterday? Ooh, acquiring Bradley Chubb. I tell you what, I am going to give Chris Greer just an implied stock up on today's video for being active yesterday at the trade deadline, for improving this team in an attempt to win. Now, it's been a long time since we've been in this situation. Came out guns a-blazing yesterday at the deadline, so I'm still on that high. But that is what we're doing today. We're doing some stock up, stock down, heading into Bears week for your Miami Dolphins. But before I jump into mine, I want to hear yours. Drop your stock up, stock down candidates in the comments below. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you are clicking that subscribe button. Let's kick things off. Stock up Tua Waddle Hill, and I added what a thrill as a quick shout out to Roger Morant, who on Twitter, who has been tagging me in these weekly preview wraps that he does on Twitter. If you haven't seen those yet, check those out. Always looking forward to when those are dropping on Twitter every week. But I was initially going to give just a stock up to Tua since he clearly knocked off that rust from the Steelers game and came out with one of the best performances that we've seen in his entire career last week against the Lions. But I cannot share, I got to share the love, right? With how dominant, with how consistent Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle have been as well. Look at Tua's numbers, though, right now. He now ranks in the NFL first in QBR, first in quarterback rating, dominating just numerous other advanced metrics as well. And then look at the wide receivers. Tyreek first in receiving yards. Jaylen Waddle fourth in wide receiving yards. Tied for fourth with reception TDs. To have those two receivers putting up those numbers through week 8, it's not like we're 2-3 weeks into the season. Week 8, and they're putting up those kind of numbers as well. Tyreek on pace to set the all-time leading receiving mark in regards to reception yards, going over 2,000 receiving yards. They are getting it done all over the field, all sorts of different ways, short, medium, long. They are getting it done. And shout out to Mike McDaniel. These play calls are unlike really anything that we've seen in the last 20 plus years as Dolphins fans. Honestly, when's the last time in that amount of time that you felt comfortable on 3rd and 13? Those were automatic. Snap the ball, hand it off to the running back, get 6 yards and punt the ball. Now they're just normal plays, and we're crushing it. The advanced metrics also show that Tua is literally like the top quarterback when it comes to 3rd and 4th downs as well. And I wanted to add this about the Dolphins offense because I didn't get to do my recap video from last week. But the offensive drives against the Lions, a fumble on the opening possession, literally as they were entering field goal range, cruising on that possession, get the fumble. And then they go touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown, punt. And the punt was when they were crossing the 50-yard line and Tua was literally going up to change the play. And then the snap came and kind of threw things off. So they had to punt on there. And then it was victory formation after a couple of first downs on the next possession when they were clearly doing whatever they wanted to on that possession as well. What I'm trying to say is nearly a scoring opportunity on every single offensive possession against the Lions as well. And really, honestly, don't let anyone tell you that it was just the Lions. I hate that reasoning. I mean, this is the NFL. There's not really a cakewalk per se. The Lions weren't even statistically that bad against the pass coming into that game against the Dolphins. I think they were like 18th or 19th or 20th against the pass in regards to like yards per game. And look I pulled up some of these other quarterbacks with recent games against the Lions. Dak, 207 yards, 1 touchdown. Bailey Zappi, 188 yards, 1 touchdown. Kirk Cousins, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, 243 yards, 0 passing touchdowns. None of these are remotely close to Tua's 382 yards, 3 touchdowns. Should have been 4 if they would have reviewed the Sherfield play. But stock all the way up to Tua Waddle Hill. Waddle. Got to give a stock down, though. First half defense. So the last 2 weeks, you give up 27 points to the Lions in the first half, 0 in the second half. You play the Steelers. You give up 10 first half, 0 second half. So the 10 against Pittsburgh isn't all that bad, but geez, can we just, for the love of God, get to the second half game plan right away moving forward? Can we do that right now? Because for me, it still boils down to the cornerbacks and the personnel that we have and the ability to utilize the zero blitz. Now, I know the game changes a little bit with the addition of Bradley Chubb, and we were using that zero blitz basically in a way where we didn't have the personnel in the secondary to utilize it. So we don't have those press boundary corners. We don't have the lockdown corners. And the cornerbacks just getting the ball out right away, taking advantage of us not being able to play that press man to man. Second half against the Lions, we see ourselves not used that much. We fade back into a little bit of a zone. We've got more bodies in the secondary. And guess what? We held Detroit to what, like 60 yards of total offense in the second half? Just a complete tale of two halves. Now, even with the addition of Bradley Chubb, I don't necessarily want to see the zero blitz completely go away, but using it strategically moving forward with the defensive personnel we have is something that we can almost use now as a luxury because hopefully, the addition of Bradley Chubb gives us that ability to get to the passer with four. But at the end of the day, in regards to this stock down, terrible first half defensively, really damn good second half defensively. But we got to get that first half figured out before we start playing some of these more complete teams. I got another stock down I want to talk about, and that's Eric Ezukanma, because I've been giving Ezukanma basically a pass for a while now. The entire season, since we've been trying to expect something from him, I've been giving him a pass. And to be honest, that college to pro transition, it's different for everyone. And Eric Ezukanma appears to be struggling more so with the mental side than anything that has to do with the on the field skill. And I keep going back to this quote that the coaching staff have. I think it was Wes Welker. And they asked about his availability and his readiness. And they said, look, if we could count on him to just have to play one of the wide receiver positions and learn that and the game plan for a course of a week, he could probably do it. But we want our wide receivers to be able to play boundary, inside, wherever they need to be lined up. They want their receivers to be able to handle what comes with that position. And they just don't think Ezukanma's there at this point in time. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's a rookie. There's going to be a learning curve. But when Braylon Sanders, as an undrafted free agent, is getting elevated from the practice squad and he's getting snaps and he's getting targets, while Eric Ezukanma continues to be on the active roster, but being a game day inactive, I can't help but finally break out the stock down for Eric Ezukanma. And don't get me wrong here. I'm not writing him off, nothing of that nature. But relatively speaking, at the wide receiver position, it was time to call his name in this portion of this video. Let's do another stock down, and that's discipline. You know what the most misleading stat from the Lions game was? 7 penalties for 55 yards. Very, very, very misleading. Now, do you know how many declined penalties the Miami Dolphins had? Do you know how many times we simply lined up offsides without even being drawn offsides? Here's the best one. How do you start the game with a taunting penalty after giving up 10 yards? If there is one gripe that I have regarding this year's coaching staff, it's the amount of penalties that we've had called on us. We're making things so much harder than they need to be just on a regular basis. And at some point, when playing a more quality opponent, it's going to be too much to overcome. So, like Mike McDaniel, I mean, he was caught on the live TV broadcast. What did he say on that one? Get that the F fixed. I'm telling you right now, discipline wise, penalty wise, we got to get that the F fixed. It can't be simpler than that. That's a quick one, but get that the F fixed. Let's do a stock hub here because I may have saved one of the best for last because Brandon Shell has stepped in at right tackle, and I'm willing to say that there's a chance he doesn't give that job back to Austin Jackson once Jackson is healthy and ready to go. On the season, Brandon Shell has 140 pass blocking snaps. Of those 140 pass blocking snaps, he's allowed 4 pressures and 1 quarterback hit. And here's the best thing. If he can continue this type of performance, this consistent play, once Austin Jackson is back, you've got the luxury now of sliding him in at left guard or using him as your swing tackle in the event Armstead or Shell gets hurt. He's got experience at both tackle spots. He's got experience at left guard. So you can use him in a multitude of places. And who knows? Like I said, you could slide him in at left guard if for some reason you don't want Robert Jones holding that down, but he also looked fine last week as well. So I have a little bit more confidence in this unit moving forward now. But at the same time, it gives you the luxury of being able to be a little bit more flexible with Austin Jackson if you like what you can see from Brandon Shell at right tackle. Pleasant surprise for us this year, a needed surprise from us on the offensive line this year. He admittedly deserved a stock up from me last week. And since I failed to do it last week, I'm making sure that I do it this week. So stock up Brandon Shell. But that is it for today. But like I said, I want to hear yours as well. Drop those in the comments and stay tuned throughout the week as I will be back on Thursday with 3 keys to victory against the Chicago Bears, and on Saturday with my final preview and prediction video. But that is my time for today, Dolphins fans. And until next time, fins up.